Here we go. We are recording these sessions for two reasons. We are recording them so we can have other people who are unable to attend to listen to them later on. And we are also recording them for our own learning so we can always become better and better in what we're delivering. So for those of you who do not want your name to be appearing in the recording, I can assure you that it doesn't appear at all in the recording if you do not put on your camera and if you only speak to a comment. And the other thing is, if you would like to comment, just put them into the chat. So we're looking at the superpower series, and you know what, we were brainstorming about what we wanted to give as a theme for August, and we came across all those different ways that we can apply mindfulness. And one of the wonderful things to work with young minds when I'm talking about student is the ability to see through different perspective. And so we're starting with the multiple perspective, and when we were brainstorming on that, Judy and I, we called on Luke, one of our colleague at the Center Block. Luke Thomas is our student also. And we asked him, so to which extent are you versed with superheroes? He's like, well, I'm very well versed with superheroes. So I'm not going to pretend that I know them well. So I'm going to invite Luke to tell you a little bit about the Wasp superpower, to which we're going to do a deep dive today and do some practices. So Luke, just spend a couple of minutes to explain to us what are the superpower of the Wasp.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvie. So, we were brainstorming about this and we picked the Wasp rather than Ant-Man. Obviously, the Wasp is part of the Ant-Man movie, but the whole point is that the Ant-Man and the Wasp, they have this unique ability. They can alter their scale, density, and strength, and they can shrink to the size of an insect, or they could enlarge themselves, well over 20 feet. And in both cases, they can alter their setting. When they're small, they have a microscopic setting, and it provides them this new perspective of the world. And it's literally a whole new dimension to achieve their goals. They're quite literally changing their perspectives, and they quite literally have multiple perspectives to look at, whether that's big or small. And that's similar to what their character is sort of based on, the ant and the wasp. So many things that happen in our daily lives, it sort of goes unseen. There's a lot of life force in nature that we just don't observe sometimes. For example, obviously the characters that inspired them were the ants and the wasp, and these creatures are really important to our nature and our environment, because they play a crucial role in making sure that the ecosystem survives. Wasps and ants, they're pollinators. The world sort of would be different if they weren't in there. And the second reason we chose the Wasp was the character that she plays. Her name is Hope Pym. Her character in the movie, she also sort of shifted perspectives. As the movie progresses, she finds herself to be more attracted to Scott Lang, who was Ant-Man, despite him being an ex-convict. And this sort of showed her ability to change her perspective on who could truly do good in the world, because she had these sort of preconceived notions about crime and criminal behavior, but sort of looking at Ant-Man, and she sort of realized that sort of anyone could do good, and this was quite literally an example of her changing her perspective. So like the Wasp, we should try to see things from another perspective in order to gain more contextual awareness. So in other words, we sort of have to become the Ant-Man or the Wasp to sort of gain whole new views on different situations that we face every day. Back to you, Zoe.
That is so well explained. Thank you so much, Luke. Who says that we have some boring job? I mean, I just love it. Every time we have an idea, you just expand and then you become something else. And when we first flirted with the idea of using superhero, I just reminded myself how I love superhero movie, how every time I go and watch one of those movies, I'm like, oh, I am so in awe and in gosh, and in how do you say that, in admiration about those powers. However, the more I'm thinking about that, the more I'm saying to myself, but everything is about being mindful. Everything is about perspective. Everything is about how we can apply those power into our daily lives. So following up the explanation of Luke, you're going to ask ourselves, yeah, fine, but we are not the wasp. We are not the Ant-Man, but we are, and we do have those power in ourselves. And that is called applying contextual awareness. And today we're going to go into visiting those 3 different contextual awareness through 2 different stories that I'm going to share with you. And what we're going to do after that is a visualization exercise. So I hope that I'm not going to bore you, and then that we're going to stay together until the end of the session. Contextual awareness can be easily defined in 3 different steps: the awareness of relevant past events, the awareness of present contextual variable, and the awareness of desired future. How does it work? Well, I'm going to tell you my first story, which is something that everybody knows. No one on this earth has not experienced it the past 18 months. And yes, I'm going to talk to you about COVID. So when COVID hit in March 2020, we all were rapidly adjusted to work from home. Yes, we had a couple months of difficulties with technology. However, when everything was set up, and then we can start to have meetings either through Zoom or Teams, we started to work again. So I want you to be honest with yourself and think about at that time, how many of us, and me included, how many of us were quick to pose a judgment on one of our colleagues who were not able to connect technologically due to either the computer or the software or the IT center. We will be saying, well, if I were connected, how can they not be connected? What is happening there? How many of us were somehow a little bit short-tempered, or I wouldn't say short-tempered, but not really patient with some noise that we could hear on the back: children yelling, dog ringing, dog barking, door ringing, the person who has to change from room to room to find a quiet place to attend the meeting. So we will be judging, we'll be saying, well, you know, how come this person cannot find a place to have the meeting in a professional manner, right? And we often are thinking about those things, the judgment not coming quickly. And if we are helping ourselves to stop, to take 2-3 deep breaths, and to contextualize what is happening. So applying relevant past event to that situation would be remembering the colleague that we just posed the judgment, remembering their professionalism when they were at the office, when none of those present contextual variables were there to disturb them. Remembering how John or Peter or all those people were when they were giving us the professional advice, helping us, guiding us through. Remembering that within the present context, understanding what they're going through, understanding that not everyone have the same situation, not everyone have the same present contextual variable. Applying some of the attitudes that we went through with Shruti in the past weeks. We went through the different mindfulness attitude. One of them will be empathy, acceptance, non-judgment, beginner's mind, understanding what's going on. And the most important is applying a desired future. So what is the desired future of that relationship? In this context of that colleague not being able to participate fully in a meeting, or some of them not even showing their camera on, is to see what is the best scenario or what is the best situation where they could participate fully in a meeting. What is it that I can do to help this situation become better? And what is it that they can do? And how can we discuss in order to meet this perfect future, or this desired future, because nothing is perfect, of course. The other story I wanted to share, and this one is a very common one, has nothing to do with COVID, but it's a very common one that we encounter in a workplace. And I'm sharing them because I myself have lived through that, and I myself were looking for different ways of getting outside, getting myself out of this, what we call never-ending circle. I used to report to a director who is very busy. Well, they're all very busy, of course, you would say. But this guy, he particularly says to everyone, not only is he busy, but he's saying to everyone, he's busy. So he ended up often asking me and my colleagues to do briefing reports while he's driving home. So the distance between the office and his home is very long. And then he'll just say, you know, why don't you call me while I'm driving home? And I can discuss those things. And my first judgment, usually and often when those things happen, is, oh, well, he's not going to pay attention. You know, he says, yeah, I hear. But is he really hearing, or is he really listening? So we're taking a big breath, or couple deep breaths, and applying my relevant past events. I'll be remembering that this director, particularly when he's at the office, he is already very busy, and his level of attention is not usually 100%. He's usually separated, divided into many different files, and he only listened to, let's say, 50% capacity. And then to get his attention already at the office would have been a little bit more than usual with other people, let's say, less busy. On top of that, what is the present contextual variable? He's driving. I don't know about you, but I have a husband, for example, who, when he drives, he is so attentive to the road that he cannot really pay attention to the music or what other people are saying, because he's attentive to the road. Now, this director is not attentive to the road, but driving actually requires us other skills and other level of attention. So if already I'm driving and I already have, let's say, 25 other things in my mind, to which level of attention do you think this director would have given me and my colleagues on our briefing? And usually when we finish our briefing, there are some decisions to be taken. At that time, without too much mindfulness, we would be just blabbling, just saying, this is what we need you to take a decision, A, B, C, can you tell us about it? And he usually will say, yeah, I hear you. And we would often finish a conversation without having a decision. Now, if I'm taking all these and then applying what we call the desired future, if I am to redo that, my lessons learned would be to say, I am giving you the debrief right now. I will be sending a note later on with a recap and with the decision to be taken. Please read them when you are in a more calm zone without any interruption. And please give me an answer before a certain date. And then we will both, one, for me to get the decision I want, and then for him to be able to conscientiously understand what we are requesting from him. And now you're going to say, yeah, Sylvie, yeah, it's easy for you to say, you know, to put the relevant passive and the present contextual variable and the desired future in any kind of a situation. But when the situation happens, we are emotional. We get all those things coming up to us, and then we are in the heat of the action, and we do not have the time to stop and apply those 3 different steps that you're asking us to do. Well, I can tell you it's doable. We have to practice. We have to recognize first ourselves, recognize those emotions coming up, recognize what is triggering us when people are saying something. So we're going to go into a visualization exercise. I'm going to leave this light on, and I'm going to do a visualization exercise with you. And when I'm doing that, I'm going to take my screen away, because I do actually know that I move my hands a lot, and it may be a little, how do you say that, take away some concentration. I'm taking my video away, and I'm going to just speak to you through the whole thing. So when we do that, it's half breathing, but it's also half closing your eyes and imagine yourself into a situation. So bear with me, we'll do that for the next 5 minutes. And if you can give yourself a goal of not falling to sleep, because we're going to walk through a couple breathing steps, and then we're going to do the visualization, okay? So please sit back comfortably. By doing so, make sure that your 2 feet are touching the floor flat. Push your bums towards the back so it will allow you to sit straight. Make sure that the bottom of your feet both are touching the floor. This is the grounding sign. It grounds you, makes you feel that you are steady, stable, strongly connected. Relax your legs. Your hands can be facing up or down, depending on how you feel comfortable. Relax your arms. Let your shoulders down. Notice your face. Notice your mouth muscle. Notice your eyes. Notice your cheeks. Are they tired of smiling too much? Are they down, sad? Are they hard, stiff? Relax them. And now we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Making sure you can either put your hands on your diaphragm to feel your stomach grow big and deflate. Otherwise, you can do it without putting your hand on the diaphragm. I'm going to do very noisy breath because this is how you can import and export air. So please take 3 deep breaths, hold it for 3 seconds, and exhale and hold it for 3 seconds. So 1, 3, 2, 1, exhale, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1. 3, 2, 1. 2, 1. Now, if your eyes were not closed, you can close them. And if your mind is wandering, it's okay. Just call the puppy back. Say, hey, come back here, I need you. I have something I need to ask you. I want you to think of a recent situation. something that happened to you, either on your personal life or your professional life. Think about a recent situation. Can be a big one, can be a small one, can be a very recurring small event that happens every morning when you wake up. Think about that situation and revisit what was your reaction. Revisit what was your judgment of that situation. And when I say revisit, visualize yourself. Were you rolling your eyes? Were your cheek very hot? You were angry? You were sad? You were deceived? You were ashamed? What was your reaction? What was your judgment? Your judgment towards yourself first, and your judgment towards other people around you. Now, with that same situation, can you put yourself back into that event and that moment and think about, what was the relevant past event that happened that caused this? Now that that happened, is there any present contextual variable that I should notice, taking into account? And of course, I'm asking you to think about the situations that was past. So the future of the past already happened. But if you had the ability to turn back time and reset the desired future, what would it be? And how that can be happen with that new lens, that new perspective that you put on. Think about it. Give yourself a very, very warm hug to say that you are lovable, you are loving, and what happened is the lesson and is creating this wonderful foundation for you to understand a little bit about the situation, the people, and mostly about yourself and how you react and how you want to stop react and change your reaction so you can always see other possibilities happening. So when you're ready, you can reopen your eyes. Take a very deep breath. And rejoin us. So I am conscientious of the time, and I'm going to open the floor to anyone who would like to comment on the exercise and tell us any aha moment, if they wish, of course. And if you do not want to come on camera, please share them in the chat. I welcome you to do that too. So I want to thank you all for participating in this week's session. I want to remind everyone that next week, our wonderful Shruti will be back. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are smiling, welcoming her back. She is truly a very good facilitator for these sessions. We are going to explore the power of self-acceptance. I'm not putting a name to this superhero that you see on the side, but he will be with us. I am going to ask you to be kind to yourself and to practice those contextual awareness and be safe. And I will see you next week. You too, take care. Have a good week.